I'd like to welcome everybody to the Career Scoop again, and especially our guest today, Lauren MacDonald. Lauren is a graduate of TCD and has a master's from Michael Smurfit Business School, and in October 2020 decided to become an entrepreneur and set up a business called LYNOTT Jewellery. Lauren, you're very welcome today. Now, to kick off, you might just share with us a little bit about your background.
Yeah, no problem, James. Thank you so much for having me. So like as you said there, I finished up my master's in September of 2020, and I had done a master's in management consultancy. And I'm not going to lie, I kind of fell into it. I think I fell into all of my college courses. And yeah, I had done an internship as a project coordinator for a management consultancy firm in town before embarking on that master's journey. And I kind of fell in love with how fast-paced consultancy was, and how every day is different and different projects, and yeah, I thought that was really me. So going into the masters, I kind of had my head set on, I'd be going into it, I'd be doing the year, and then I'd be coming out the other side and entering one of the grad programs with one of the big four, and that was kind of what the path that I thought I was taking. So yeah, I actually got, for the final semester, which would have been from June to September 2020, I was actually supposed to be doing an internship actually as my final term. And what happens there normally is that you would do the internship and then kind of just seamlessly integrate into the grad program. So I thought that my future was set. But then obviously in April 2020 and COVID kind of really escalated at that point. So I got an email to say, unfortunately, that had been cancelled. And yeah, from there, I was kind of, just at a loss. I scoured the internet, LinkedIn, trying to find a job. And as many people can probably relate, that was incredibly difficult, and it was an incredibly difficult time. Yeah, and no luck. But I came from a business background, and I had always worked in retail from a young age, from 12 on the shop floor. And then during college in Trinity, I had worked in Brian Thomas on the jewellery counter, funnily enough, for 30 hours a week. And I adored it. I just fell in love with luxury retail and cut the customer experience in there. So yeah, I suppose in October 2020, I'd had a month to kind of grieve the loss of EY. And I said, you know what, this is a time, and this is an opportunity now to work for myself, as I always wanted to incorporate all my interests and passions of luxury retail, customer experience, consultancy, entrepreneurship, and merge them all together and create something for myself. So I really just hit the ground running. And now we're here 6 months later with LYNOTT Jewellery.
Wow. And so how did it, so did you put an old plan together? There's a bit of numbers. How did you get suppliers online? Just a high level. Can you bring us through that journey and the fears of it, and obviously the buzz of it?
Sure. So I don't do things by half. And when I commit to something, I go hell for leather. So I'm going to be honest with you, and the recommendation I would give to anybody else from a consultancy perspective, and during my consultancy projects, I had plans and Gantt and project timelines and all this kind of stuff, but I didn't do that. I went straight in to 2 feet in, and didn't plan anything, and just kind of did it as I went. And that is not the advice I would give now. And even in other projects and businesses I'm doing at the moment, that's not how I would have done it. But yeah, I guess the excitement took over. And to be honest with you, I thought that, I was still looking for a job in October, and thought, this could be a nice side thing. I never, ever in my wildest dreams thought it would be my sole job and it would get to the level it has. But I suppose I sat down, and I don't come from a business degree background. And I think that's a really important message I'd like to get across, that you're not limited or pigeonholed to what you did. I did social science, but I sat down with my brother who was a business graduate, and we went through the numbers and the finances. And I remember, like, the first thing I did was I found supply. I just did research, and I found suppliers that I really liked, and I bought sample orders. And I remember I think I spent €200 on my first sample order, and I thought that this would break the bank. I was in shock at this €200 leaving the account. But but yeah, I just had, you just take risks, and it all happened so quickly. But sampling the product, getting it in, testing it out, really extensive market research, and it was all happening so quickly that maybe I wasn't documenting it as I would have liked to. But yeah, it was really nailing down the customer, the target market, the customer, the product. The finances kind of fell into place as we were going, and as we escalated, they got, you know, they became more important. But yeah, it all just happened so kind of simultaneously and quickly.
And do you remember your first sale? Who was it to, and how much was it for, and how did you find them?
Yeah. So my first sale was to my dad, and he had made sure that he was online the minute we launched. So we had a bit of a run up on social media to the launch day, and he was on like 3 minutes before, and he bought something for like €25, and it was all very exciting. And then after, I don't remember after that, but I do remember that day, that launch day, and feeling so sick and so nervous because there was such a build up and a lead. And I was just there on the back end of the system, just sitting there on my laptop watching the sales come in. And I feel the sense of relief when a couple came in, and I was like, okay, it hasn't been for nothing, or I wasn't crazy, and it worked. And yeah, that's definitely a highlight for me.
And then month 1 to month 3, things become regular. And how are you marketing? Is this through social media, I presume, Instagram? Just to share with how you actually market a business from Clontarf.
Yeah, sure. So I also had a bit of a background in marketing. I spent 4 or 5 months with the marketing department in Brown Thomas, and it's an area of interest of mine. And what's really important with marketing, I think there's a massive misconception that social media drives businesses, and once you have a social media girl and a social media account, you're flying. And I'd really love to stress that that's just not the case. People can have lots of Instagram accounts, and you know, they're making no impact on their business, and they're not driving revenue. I think the most important piece of advice with marketing I could give is to have multiple streams. And that, you know, marketing is one thing, but the brand comes first, and you have to have a distinctive tone of voice, a distinctive aesthetic, and kind of something that your customers relate to in order to be able to speak about it. And then I think what sets me apart from other businesses maybe in a similar position or a similar size is that I've never been afraid to invest in marketing, and I always allocate a marketing budget even when I didn't really have it to do it. And I thought that this would benefit me in the long run. So I'd be running digital ads on a constant basis. Social media, Instagram, we're an Instagram brand. I consider Instagram my shop front. So that's how I communicate with my customers, and that's how my customers communicate with me. And I post regularly, and but I don't think that necessarily, you know, if you looked at my analytics, I think only 20% come from the Instagram, and the rest is direct. So you've your digital ads, you've your print and press and PR, which I think is still really valuable today, which we're utilizing always. Your influencer marketing, and then you've your social media channels, and all have a different role to play. There's classic email marketing we'd be really kind of big on too. So yeah, and I'm always looking for new opportunities and different ways of doing things, and new things are always cropping up. Like only this week we're having talks about TikTok and Snapchat and that kind of thing, and seeing what we can do there. I love collabing with other Irish businesses to reach, you know, their customer base, and introduce them to our brand and see what we can do. So yeah, the possibilities with marketing are really endless, and the creativity is rewarded. So would be my advice when considering marketing.
Okay, and if there's any potential collab businesses listening, what type of businesses might fit? You might want to share. Just get a shout out.
Definitely. So we did a collab with Love Handle Candles. So you might think candles and jewelry, like what's the connection there? But I think of LYNOTT as a lifestyle brand. I don't want to be boxed into jewelry. The candles were incredible, and they were another Irish business, vegan candles. And then recently we did Al's Gem rings. They're clay rings made in Ireland and Cork. And I was looking at some illustrators to do prints. Really just the possibilities are endless. I would say a lifestyle brand, and we just look for anything cool or interesting or different, but particularly made in Ireland or Irish owned is really important.
Any mistakes you want to share over the 6 months? One that you say, oops, I can't believe I did that one.
Oh God, yeah. I think I make a couple of mistakes every day, and I'll put my hands up and say that mistakes are how you learn. There's been so many. But I think the thing that I've done right is I've always put the customer first. And if it's a mistake with a customer, I'll do, my utmost to make sure that the brand fixes it and jumps in, and we just never really tend to let a customer down. I think, we started in October, and 17th of October, and then we hit Black Friday and Christmas and that rush, and I just never anticipated the level of business that we were doing, and things got a little bit messy. I hadn't figured out the track shipping and that kind of thing, but I found myself driving to Greystones and all these crazy places just to get orders to people for the time they needed, or for Chris Kindle, just to ensure that they had it, and then even picking up the original order that arrived a week later because of delays. So putting the customer first has always been really important. And of course, there's been tons of mistakes along the way. I think not planning, I went back to that earlier, I hit in the ground running, and not having those plans in place to fall back on. That's something that it's a massive learning for me. So now going forward, everything's planned to a T. Delegation is another massive one for me. So as it's my baby, it's my business, and it was just me at the start. I had lots of help from family, but predominantly me. So learning to let go, learning to kind of, step back, and now kind of going forward, we're looking to hire people and expand now. It's definitely important to learn from the mistakes of kind of, wanting to keep it all with me, and not being able to branch out and allow others to take the wheel sometimes.
I think you're no different to any other entrepreneur. You live it, you love it, you become that finder, minder, grinder, where, but a sense you can only be in one place at one time, and you have to let go of some of the duties and responsibilities and focus in the areas where you really have high impact. And what would you say, sorry, my next question, I jumped ahead of myself. Your time in college and your time, you obviously with undergraduate and masters, before you went in, what did you think it was going to be like? Right now you're out looking back. What did you get from it, and what did you not get from it?
Well, I've learned more in the last 6 months than I had in 5 years of college, and that's just a fact. I enjoyed my college experience. I think nowadays there's been such a paradigm shift. It's almost like an extension of school. It's not a question anymore, and they have a course for anything you want to do, just for the sake of doing a course. And I think it's essential. I think it's important to do an experience, and it's a nice, it matures you, and you grow in that time. But I wonder if I started this 5 years ago, where I'd be now. I don't feel like any of the skills I picked up in my undergrad were that transferable. My master's experience, I thoroughly enjoyed. It was really hands-on. I worked with a number of different clients on real, tangible projects, and derive the most benefit from that. I worked really closely with EY for 3 months, and that's why I wanted to work with them so badly, because that experience was incredible. And I think it's that kind of spoke to what my core values are and what I enjoy. I enjoy projects and brand development and idea conceptualization and stuff. So working with brands and businesses really suited me in a consultancy space. But yeah, I think for anyone in college thinking, this isn't for me, or I'm not getting anything out of this, like I would definitely, I think the value is there. It's there to be kind of, it's what you make of it, and you should always be like, outside of college, I was always kind of looking to upskill. I was doing other courses. I was looking at sustainability courses. I've done different Excel suite courses just to kind of complement that learning. But yeah, I would definitely stick with it, because it's important, especially if you're not going to work for yourself, and you're going to go into one of these companies that it is valued. But yeah, I definitely think there's nothing like real world experience to just for that learning piece. I think it's really important.
And you were probably lucky, excuse the word, that obviously you there was a family business, so you've been working since you were 12, so you understand I suppose there's ups and downs in any business, so you had a bit of DNA there. What would you, is there any subjects, if you look back, you would have, or whether it be life skill subjects that you would have put into your courses, particularly the undergraduate course? Is there any kind of 4 or 5 courses? I'd love to have done a bit of that. That would have just, would it be kind of able to find your voice, able to actually to negotiate, you know, sort of simple things that you're now doing, and you're now living that.
Yeah, I think a massive one for me, and I think I'm so lucky and privileged in the fact that I did a master's over in Smurfit, but they do workshops on presenting skills, and I think that's just missing and lacking so much in the third level system in Ireland. Like how you can go through and not be taught those skills is incredible to me. It's 50%, it's half the battle to get up and to be able to get your ideas across coherently. So yeah, I wish that I had started that journey a bit earlier. I also think that, you know, I didn't do a business degree, and I know my looking at my brother's course, it was far more valuable. But to me personally, like there was no Microsoft suite there. I didn't learn Excel until I taught myself, you know, and I think that's crazy to be able to go through a third level system in Ireland and not know how to use the Microsoft suite. But yeah, I think basic life skills, like they don't teach you about tax or anything that's kind of important when you leave. So yeah, I think there is definitely a life skills piece missing in college. And then also I think a cultural piece too, because again, I was lucky that I went to Smurfin, and we I did a cultural diversity workshop for 6 weeks, and I learned how to engage with people that are different to me, and to see the differences and to speak to people who are different to you and understand where they're coming from in a group context really puts so much perspective and changes the way you work with people. And it's really important going forward in such a diverse new world, to be able to do that and to be able to work with people well, no matter what their background is.
You shared with me before we went live. Any funny stories about that Smurfit diversity experience, and how
Yeah.
Irishisms don't always land the way we think they should?
Yeah, so we had a funny workshop one day where, you know, the majority of students over there in Smurfit are Irish, Indian, or Chinese, and there was a group of us, and the teacher said, "Okay, guys, we're going to discuss some Irish words that, you know, have different meanings for different people, but typically Irish words." So she said the word brand. So Lauren, like in a project, if you know, your colleague over here submits a bit of work and you say, "Well, that's grand. What does that mean for you?" And then they said it to the Indian guy, and they said, "Well, what would that mean for you?" And he was like, "Oh, it's grand. It's marvelous. It's amazing." And then she said to the Chinese girl, she said, "Oh, well, what would it mean for you?" And she said, "Well, I'd be really offended. Grand doesn't sound good to me. It doesn't sound like a good term, and I'd be very upset with that." And then I said, well, I just think it's okay. It's grand. It's fine. Let's keep it going. Like it's fine. And everyone erupted laughing. And we're just saying the difference with that one word, how that girl would go home and be so upset. And then that guy would go off and think his job's done for the day. And I'd be sitting there going, "Come back here now. You need to fix a few things." So, yeah.
Gosh, it's the simple words. Isn't it funny, that audience, and we take things for granted sometimes, that who we're talking to, and that there's a disconnect, and suddenly out of that disconnect, there's a bigger disconnect potentially.
Totally, yeah.
Which is it. Tell me about what you know about networking, or what does networking mean to you?
Yeah, sure. So networking is integral in business, and it's actually, I was only having this car. So I'll tell you a funny story. Yesterday, my car broke down, and it was in the middle of the most manic day I'd had. It was outside the post office. I just delivered the orders, and I was going to see a new office, and I was late, and the car broke down. Breakdown assistance got in, and we drove to bring the car to the garage. Then I was in his van, and at this stage, I'm ringing everyone, going, "I'm delayed, I'm annoyed," all this kind of stuff. And I get off the phone, and I was talking to someone I work with about engraving, and I was saying, "No, that fell through. I can't find an engraver in Ireland. It's not going to happen. We can't do it." And he said, "My cousin's one of the only 4 people who still hand engrave in Ireland, and he's actually unemployed and he's looking for a job." And I just looked over and I went, Well, that's all I know about networking. I said, well, I was meant to be in this car today, and he gave me his cousin's number, and I'm going to call him later on today. So there's some networking for you. And I found in my 6 months of business that you can send all the emails, and you can do you can reach out to people on LinkedIn, and you can do the traditional networking that it's kind of like a buzz term now. But honestly, I've got more connections from going over to Fashion City and having a meeting and then bumping into someone in the corridor and go, or someone, I'm going, oh, I need this packaging, and someone going, oh, I know a guy who can do that. I'll give him a call. The amount of kind of just coincidental networking that happens, far out triumphs the kind of new buzz term, sending a message on LinkedIn. I think, and that's why I suppose COVID has put a bit of a stop to that. But I think there's nothing like, maybe being if you apply to a corporate context, maybe being in the office and grabbing a partner and saying, could I grab you for a coffee? I just want to run this by you. There's nothing like in-person networking to kind of get the ball rolling quicker. And it's just funny how these things happen.
That's great. Now, what advice would you give to someone who's like, you're only 20? I shouldn't ask a lady her age, 24 in that sense. But to say someone who's come out of undergraduate, it's just not happening. The expectation might have been there to happen, and it just hasn't happened because the whole plan's been blown up now with COVID. What advice would you give them? Just a simple advice for them to and they're trying to find a job or a career or feel comfortable.
I can totally relate to this because I'm painting a lovely picture of success here, and that hasn't always felt like that. And I've had some really, really low moments and still do, and every day brings up its own challenges. But particularly, when the EY thing fell through and I was scaring LinkedIn for days, and I actually had to take a break for a week because I was getting so upset by it. And it does feel like the end of the world, and it is hard to kind of see light at the end of the tunnel there. But honestly, what's and I know it sounds cliche, but if it's meant to be, it will, and what's for you won't pass you by. But I do think you need to work, you need to put yourself out there and take risks. And my biggest thing to people is saying to take risks. People are shocked when I say, oh, I started my own business in a pandemic. And I think it's because people we've been kind of programmed now to go to college and then get like I wanted to, like, go to college, get the grad program and be secure, look for security. They need security for mortgages. You need it. But you know what, if you've no dependents and you're under 30, 35, and you've nothing to lose, and you might as well take the risk. And if it doesn't pay off, you learn from it. But yeah, my advice to people backtracking that are really struggling looking for a job is to try something different. I've been really impressed by CVs that come in a PDF format, and they're really fun and different. Or someone reaching out on LinkedIn or Instagram or something, being like, look here, I want to show you some of my work, and I'd love the opportunity for a chat for 5 minutes, or just something different. If you're hitting walls sending CVs out on LinkedIn, change up your approach, do something different. But also don't be afraid to maybe reflect and go, what do I actually really want, and where do I see myself in 5 or 10 years? And not through the lens of like your career guidance person being like, oh, in 5 or 10 years you want to be a senior manager in a firm. It's like, no, like, do I want to work for myself? Do I have a passion or an interest, be it candles, jewelry, pots, pans? What do I love? And see if there's an opportunity or a space there for you to kind of try something. And if it doesn't work, just back to the drawing board. But I wouldn't get too bogged down by rejections. I think they make you stronger, and it's resilience is really important, especially when looking for jobs. Not to take it personally either is another bit of advice.
And when you get stressed and the juggling has got overwhelming, as is an entrepreneur in a new business, and you're running around taking calls, going to post office, moving around, have you discovered a way of just stopping? And have you okay, I just need to just hold it for a moment, just to breathe a bit? I'm just curious to say that have you had that chance to figure out how you stop? when you need to
No,
stop?
do you have any advice?
I do, and often there's lots of advice. A great friend of mine, and I was very lucky, and my I trained to be a massage therapist many years ago and got involved with Reiki, which is a fascinating kind of interest. A little bit mad. I don't want to get in trouble from the Reiki people out there, but there's a whole lot to it, and energy is energy in a sense. But someone said a really practical thing: when you get stuck or things get overwhelming, just remove yourself from that situation. Go to the loo and compose yourself. And another quick way is count backwards from 23 times. It just changes the frequency, and because you have to focus on the number, so your brain gets distracted. It moves out of what they call the red zone. That's what they call the red zone. And the red zone is where you've got a whole lot of chemicals going and fighting or flighting, and you're in effect your whole body crashes. Is to try to get yourself to that green zone where things aren't impact. It's like waking up with a good night's sleep. You could take on the world. If you're a bit tired, it's harder, But everybody has their own little ways of doing that, and find their own way. Or going for a walk, getting some oxygen, breaking up the day a little bit. Entrepreneurs tend not to do that. They tend to work, and then go for the walk. But I won't even ask you that question because I probably know the answer because I was there myself, and still there at one level. Fun stories over masters you've shared. Any other fun stories about the business? Any interesting clients or that people or events that have come out of it? That's a great event about finding the engraver. Any other stories that you've kind of say, wow, that was or cool people you might have met that not famous people, but people who just say something that impact. I'll borrow that, or I'll take that, or I like that philosophy.
Yeah, I guess it's opened a lot of doors, and it's still a surreal pinch me moment. Like, we were on the front of Stellar magazine for 2 editions in the last 6 months, and I suppose when I see, we do a lot of influencer marketing, and when I see people I've admired for years, talking about our product and recommending our product and promoting the brand, it is really surreal for me, and it's one of the little joys that I have, but that even when I see customers tagging me or tagging us and sharing the brand, it's just surreal, and it's one of the little happy moments I have every day, even if I am stressed and working and whatever. Seeing that makes it kind of worthwhile. But yeah, I think it would be wrong not to bring like my family into this conversation. Like, obviously I was at home for COVID, so this was a bedroom business. It's not anymore, but it certainly was a bedroom, hall, kitchen, living room, everywhere business. My hall looks like a production line. There's boxes and all sorts. My mum's folding paper and making up boxes, watching TV in the evenings. My brothers help me with the finance. It's all hands on deck. But we have a funny kind of folder in the family WhatsApp group where my brother has like kind of done a Jeff or an Amazon kind of edit where he's taken a picture at every stage. So he has a picture of me and my mom and my dad on the floor, sorting out the first sample delivery. It's all scattered over the sitting room, and in style numbers. And then he has pictures of like when the packaging arrived up in the bedroom, and then he's pictures of all the orders at Christmas, going all over my room and down the stairs. And we've documented every step of the way, but it's been a family affair. And they've had to surgically remove me from the desk and place me in the bed at 2 o'clock in the morning. Sometimes they've been drafted in for really like urgent calls up to the post office or over to drop in a really important delivery. Every day is different. They've kind of been there every step of the way. And I think it was lovely yesterday going and viewing offices. I brought my mom with me, and kind of that was like, wow, we're getting somewhere, and the future. It was kind of looking into the future, and it's kind of special to be able to share that with your family, and for them to, I'm very lucky that they're so supportive.
Oh, listen, that's great. Wait till they give you the bill now for their time when you're.
Yeah, or they already have. They already have.
Yes, well, it's well, you've got a business is business, So in a year's time, business-wise, where would you see yourself? Where would you like to be? Where's the real reach, and where's the kind of I'm happy with that? So
So I'd like to continue building my brand, and being a household name. I want to continue building a brand that customers love and they relate to, and they're excited about what we do next. And I think so far that's been something we've been really good at. And I want to move into a space where we're one of, maybe have some pop-ups and we're doing different things and we're always being original with marketing. And our product obviously expands and differs. And I want to get into the personalized space. And I want to incorporate new technology. And I want to be a market leader in the space. And I think I want to bring, kind of revive jewelry in Ireland and make it more exciting and fun and young. I think it's missing that currently. So I want to do that for the brand. On a personal note, I think I found my niche, and that's brand, and that's branding and ideas and building businesses from the ground up with limited resources, and really kind of that's where I want what I want to do, and I want to keep my attention to. I would love to have a career in consultancy still, and I think I can do both simultaneously, because I think there's a lot of transfer over there. So yeah, that's what I see for myself, and that's what I see for the business.
And have you other ideas or that you'd like to share that you've seen there's a gap in the market, or you may not want to share some of those? I'm just thinking at that kind of bigger scale. Is there anything else you'd say, gosh, there's something to be done here, or there's something done there? Because there's so many, in my sense, COVID and where we've come from, and like we were doing this conversation by Zoom, we met on kind of online by networking through a third party. So it can be a bit easier now sometimes to set up a business or to do something because of all the tools are there. And as the hard work, it's not easy, but in effect, maybe than it was before, where things maybe couldn't happen as quickly.
Yeah, I think we've come on leaps and bounds. I think there's been a technological revolution, and it does make things easier, but in fairness, it makes things more difficult too. Like it's harder to get decent suppliers and go over to the factories and see the product for yourself. I do have a couple of businesses up my sleeve that I won't divulge just yet. Maybe that's another podcast. But yeah, I'm always on the lookout for new things. And I think once your brain, that piece, that entrepreneur thing has been switched on, it's hard to switch it off. But I also come from a family, we can't even go out for dinner without someone being like, and if they just moved that wall over there, and if they changed this, and if they added this to the menu, and you're going, oh God, but yeah, there's opportunity in everything. But I think my advice to someone considering starting a business is to find your niche and to find to be a product leader and differentiate you need to specialize. You can't have your hand in all pots or be a jack of all trades. You also need to be really clear on who your customer is and what your market is, because I've talked to people who have a sales team but they don't have a marketing team and interior design and that kind of thing, and you're going, well, what are they selling? Because you need that marketing piece. You need to know who your customer is in order to sell to them. So yeah, I think be clear and concise on your marketing and your customer experience and their journey, but also specialize and be specific on who you are and what your product is, and go from there. Yeah.
And who's your typical customer, and what do they typically buy?
Sure. So we did a bit of fun work on this a couple of weeks ago. So my typical customer is anywhere between 17 to 35.
That's me out, I'm afraid. So
yeah, they shop in ASOS, Zara, a Pretty Little Thing, Sisters and Seekers, and that kind of stuff. But they're ethic and sustainably conscious, but they're driven by price predominantly. They might drive a Fiat 500. They're an active gym goer. They go for brunch and cocktails on a Saturday. They watch Love Island. They're really socially engaged. They're influenced by influencers. They love fashion, blogging, that kind of thing. They're fun-loving 20-somethings. Who like to online shop.
What do they buy? What's your go-to, or what do people? Now I know this changes, of course, and this personal style or personal kind of obviously it's influence. I'm just curious: is it rings? Is it other types of jewelry? I'm just curious to where for my own. Maybe I could, if I know that. Maybe I think of people. Maybe I could become a customer.
Sure. So we sell kind of high quality costume jewelry. So it's stainless steel, so it doesn't tarnish. And kind of at the moment, our bread and butter is rings. Like rings are really in, and you might think, oh, how do people know their ring sizes? You know, online, and they've never tried it on, but we make it easy. It's 6, 7, 8, small, medium, large, and size guides, and it's kind of easy to figure out. We also make exchanges super easy, so they don't really feel safe that they can buy it and exchange it. But yeah, rings are leading the way for us. It's kind of it's kind of on trend at the moment. Big chunky gold plated rings. And then anything personalized, we have initial necklaces that people love to gift to each other, ear cuffs, bracelets, and just really trend focused. So we take a lot of inspiration from like whatever the big jewelry guys are doing. We'd have a look at that, but also kind of trends and Instagram and TikTok and what's out there. And we're kind of driven by that and try to offer that product to the market.
Average spend?
€45.
€45. Okay, that's it. So anyone listening who wants to get some wonderful costume jewelry, fully up to the appropriate a la mode, as they say, chic, and €45 to go to Lauren. And what's the .ie, .com, and all the various handles, if I'm correct in that word that I'd use?
Yeah, no worries. So we're LYNOTTJewellery.com and at LYNOTT Jewellery on Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook.
That is great. And Lauren, could you? I'm good. This is a question we ask everybody. 5 words that you can strive just for the last year, or well, not even the last year. It's 9 months now. What's for 5 months? 5 and 2, 7 months, 8 months. That you might describe the
so. It's been rewarding and challenging. I think that's 5.
Rewarding and challenging and a bit of fun, I presume.
Oh, it's been fun, and I think if it's not fun, it's not right. You're doing something wrong. I have fun every day with it, and I enjoy the creative aspect of it so much. It's so rewarding when it goes right, and it's soul destroying when it goes wrong. But it's all it's a roller coaster, and you'll experience that every day. But you have to love what you're doing, and you have to have fun doing it. And I'm lucky that I'm in a position that's where I'm at. So I'm happy, and the challenges you learn. And I've never had a learning experience like the last 6 months. It's been a phenomenal life, business, everything. I've learned so much.
Oh, that's great. Lauren, I know you're very busy today, and I want to thank you so much for joining us on the Career Scoop. It's just great to see. I love your energy. This is our second time talking, and you've educated me, and I hope our listeners can see, particularly the younger listeners, or not necessarily the younger listeners, who did that. You can give it a go, and it just needs a bit of a nudge, and have a go. And you're surprised what's on the other side of that you can get that success or that movement forward. So, Lauren, I want to thank you very much for coming on board today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's great talking to you.
Thank you for listening to the Career Scoop, brought to you by Elevate Career Advice and Elevate Executive Selection, Dublin and Bermuda. I'm James Fitzsimons, and I hope you've enjoyed listening. Join us next week for more episodes of the Career Scoop. Hope to see you there. Bye.